What's going on, everybody? Today we are talking about rest. So, I'm on vacation. Welcome back, everybody. My name is AP Raleigh, author of Abide, and I make content to help both you and me grow in our relationship with Christ together. Now, when we're talking about rest, this is a concept that has killed me for so long. I love pushing to 100%. It's, in fact, this just compulsory need that I have to go even further, to do this 110%, never stop, never slow down, find the answer. And I've got a lot of mental things that I struggle with that force me kind of to go down that route, but it doesn't make less any different for me than anybody else. I still need it, and I'm really bad at taking it. So when we're talking about this, the verse that's always tripped me up is, the fact that rest wasn't a small thing. Rest is in the Ten Commandments. And while we want to just say, oh, Jesus came and we're good now, and maybe that's just the context, or, okay, we can argue 7 different ways, but we haven't thrown out don't murder. We haven't thrown out, any of the rest of those. And they're incredibly important foundational pieces. And so why is this the one that I can't do? And I think Jesus is the one that explained that best, because he just simply said, the Sabbath is made for man, not man for the Sabbath. And there's a lot of other stuff with that, but what gets me is the fact that, no, I'm really not made to rest. There's no logical explanation for rest. And when you're a kid, it's a lot more exciting and makes a lot more sense. But as you grow up, you find out that the harder I work, the more I put in, the more intentional I am, and the more I pursue these things, the more money I can make, the more, security I can have. I can take this 10 different ways, because it's not really culturally dependent. There are different cultures where it's pushed further to work, and ones where it's not, but it doesn't really, this is from the dawn of time. If I save up more berries and fruit, well, man, I'll make it through the winter better. And if I don't, I won't. And work is an important thing, but we spend a lot of time not enjoying our work, not enjoying what we're doing. And that's not even what I'm talking about, because as it so turns out, you can kill yourself doing stuff that you love. You can push yourself so far. And as a part of the neurodivergent community, which I found out this year, it's even harder for us, because we tend to push even deeper into these areas that we love, and we just can't stop. And I'm finding that in studying rest, there's something that I found to be really important, and it's your level of intention. And I don't mean that, being intentional means you don't have to rest. Nope, that's not the case. Or being unintentional means you don't have to rest. Now, if you're unintentional, well, it makes it a lot more necessary to rest. You need to calm down more often, because you're doing something you don't love, that you don't want to be doing, that you're not actively pursuing, and that takes a lot more energy. But even on things that you are intentional about and things you do care about, you can push yourself to this point of almost no return where you can't stop. And this is where we get into that's one side of intent. But the other side of intent is, what do I care about? And this is something I learned 2 days ago with God, trying to push into this, is that our intent, are we trying to be intentional about the thing that we're doing, about the project or career path or the thing that we love, whatever, even if it's just time with God? Are we being intentional about that? Or are we intentional about the system on a whole? Am I trying to control my future? Am I trying to control what's going to happen tomorrow? Am I trying to guarantee safety? Because that's not something I have the power to do. And there's all these verses in the Bible about worrying for the future and understanding that God has your back. That, he's gonna take care of the birds, and they've always got enough, and the flowers, and they've always got enough. So why are you worried about it? Because it's outside of your control. And so when we take all of this intent and passion and we pursue the things that we can't control, man, it's difficult. And so what I find with rest is, and even the importance of the Sabbath, and there's so many parts of this, but for me personally, I want to share my point, because this is such a painful thing. Resting, stopping, slowing down feels like my arm is getting ripped off. And I'm finding that that's because I was trying to throw out being intentional in general. And I'm going, okay, there's this thing that I care so much about, and this thing that I want to pursue, that I want to do, and I want to, change the world in this way, and I'm putting everything in. So to rest is to throw that out the window and ignore it for 2 weeks and go somewhere beautiful, like where I'm at right now, and just pretend like it doesn't matter anymore. And that doesn't work. And when I go back, it's not always better. Sometimes it's a lot worse. But here's the caveat, the thing that I'm finding with rest, because rest isn't just this constant rejection. On the Sabbath, I don't just kick out my time with God. I don't just do nothing. That's never been a point anywhere. I can still spend time with relationships. I can spend time with friends, time with family. But what makes it rest? What means that I stop? I find that it's pulling that intentionality back around the whole system, because I can't control it anyways. And the further I push and the more tired I get, the more energy I put in, the more I need to have this point where I can step back and go, you know what, let's just love the thing for what it is. I can still be intentional about my work. I can still do a video sitting here right now because I care. But what I can step back from and stop is from trying to make this into something bigger than it's going to be, because I'm taking it out of God's hands. I'm trying to do it myself. And it's okay to work on it, but the more that I fixate, the more that I focus, the more that I'm incapable of looking at anything else going on, the more I stop giving God control over every point of my life. The more I take back every single thing and I try to dictate my own future. And the real problem with that is I have the ability to affect it. I have the ability to be good at the things I do, but what I don't have the ability to do is control the future. So when we're talking about rest, I think that right there, I think I finally identified that is the point to focus on. It's not stopping to care. It's not removing myself so completely. It's remembering not only why I do the thing, going out in nature, seeing the beauty of nature reminds me why I want to retire. Because there's a beautiful world out there, and I don't want to spend every day working, even on tasks that I love. It's okay. I want to pull back, and I want to be able to do what matters to me, what matters to God, and be able to enjoy the beauty of the outdoors. And that's important to me. And so it reminds me why I'm doing this. It reminds me of all that, and that's all well and good, but it also gives me a break from trying to control the thing, so I can step back and go, God, what is important to you in this, in outside of my everyday world, outside of my everyday, whatever I want to be doing? If I'm not focused on work for 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day or 12 or whatever you do, God, what's important outside of that? And let's make the world a little bit bigger and pull back my perspective. And there's so many things that I've talked about recently that this affects in minor ways. But it becomes when we choose to have the Sabbath, when we choose to rest, or we choose to just take a vacation like I am right now, just take some time off. It does something to us. And I think I've finally identified that something as taking the amount of energy and passion and intensity that we take and apply to affecting our future. And we pull it back, and we can take that intentionality and apply it to something different, like loving ourselves, like pursuing God in stupid stuff, like finding my passions and running with them. Because it doesn't matter right now. It's okay. That's the point of break, is to just get away from what you must do and focus on what you want to do. And when I look back in the old laws and the old codes, and it talks all about, you want to talk context, it talks about making your food on Saturday so that you're not working on Sunday, or whatever day they had the Sabbath. Unfortunately, I don't remember off the top of my head what their calendar looked like. But on that day, they were literally taking a break from everything that they had to do, everything they were being so intentional about. And they spent that time getting away from all of those things and refocusing on what matters and what's important. So I hope that encourages you, and this week I hope you take a day off to rest, because I've finally made this connection of why it's so important for me to take a day off. And I want you to have that joy too.